Iannetta, he wants some. Well, that's not a surprise.
There we go.
Pointing fingers. Jeff Bannister pointing at Scott's service. Scott used to work in the Texas organization, although he and Bannister didn't really cross paths. Again, this is Bannister's second year, and he'd been in Pittsburgh for 29 years.
And we'll take a look at it. Fastball. I'm not sure where it gets him. Right in the back of the leg. And Tom has been thrown out of the ball game.
Moreland coming in quickly. Bannister. Okay. It's only the second game, Mike.
Yeah, they get to see each other a lot this year, don't they? Makes it a little bit interesting.
We only got 17 more of these bad boys to go. We got a little bad blood boiling here in Arlington with the Mariners up big 8-2 as they rough up their old teammate Tom Wilhelmsen here in the 8th.
In a much more normal context, he could manage a whole season and not encounter the kind of decision that he and that dugout had to make. Chris Hatcher with Dave Roberts now coming out of the dugout to protect him. Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief, and Chris Hatcher sharing some words.
A lot of motion right now. Chris Hatcher disappointed in giving up the Stripling gem, but also some pitches that were close that could have been called strikes. And Dave Roberts getting involved with the emotions and being booted from this game. But that is to protect his players and to keep his pitcher in the game. That's what a manager's supposed to do.
Outside part of the plate. It's just the way it is. They do it more.
1-1. Well, isn't that what you're taught? Low and away, low and away, low and away.
Well, there was a time that there was a good pitch, but I think you have to be able to hit both sides of the plate. Inside being very important.
Well, someone has just been thrown out of the game here, and that's home plate umpire Paul Emmel. And Brad Ausmus having some words right now. We'll see who's been ejected for the Tigers.
Well, Mr. Emmel hasn't said anything, but I think it's Brad.
And there he goes.
That brings back memories. I think you're going to see the ejection right here.
There you go.
Pitcher's box. Try to hit it right back up the middle. And I think the Twins have done a good job of that. Sano doesn't like it.
And Sano's got to.
He just threw him out.
He just got tossed. And Sano's got to learn to not do that. John Hirschbeck gave him about 5 seconds worth and then threw him out.
They told him to get out of here. Sano said something else, and John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, tells Sano, your day is done.
And it may have been done anyway. The Twins lead by a couple of runs. We may see Max Kepler in right field when we come back.
Got him, strike 3. And Justin Upton has been thrown out of the game. There's been beefing a few times in this series. Here comes Brad. Upton has been thrown out by Rob Drake. Neshek comes out of the pen and gets 3 big outs. And Brad taking Upton away. Let's take another look at it. Did he have a beef? He thought it was high. And he's called out on strikes. Coming up, the Consumers Energy 7th inning stretch.
Ooh, halfway to home plate, and the pitch is
it a balk?
Yep. First base umpire has called a balk. Ryan Blackney.
You know what?
As McCutcheon came sprinting down the line, because with a shift on, he could come halfway to home plate without any fear of being picked off at third, and it upset the rhythm of Colin Ray.
You know what? I don't think that's a balk, because he continued with his delivery. He didn't stop. Watch. Sure, he speeds it up. Okay, he starts, right? That's not a balk. That is not a balk. That is not a balk.
So Brian Gorman, the crew chief, is talking with Carlson. Now the other 2 umpires come in to huddle up, and we'll see whether or not they concur on the call.
He started his delivery. He continued. Sure, he sped up, but he continued to throw the ball towards home plate. I've got no balk. Okay, starts, right? Continues to go. Oh, you know what? His foot. I just noticed his back foot. It came off the rubber, then it is still in contact with the rubber. Did you see that, Dick? That little hop?
From that angle, yeah. There was a little hitch in the giddy up there. But the fact that Clint Hurdle's come out may be a good sign for the Padres. Maybe they're going to change their mind about the call.
See, this is one of those rules where his foot is in contact with the rubber. It looked like he came up, kind of maybe hopped on the rubber, and then made the throw towards the plate after hopping. Focus on his foot right there. Now watch. See how he kind of hops a little bit? He loses contact with the rubber. You know what? I don't think it's a balk.
Well, apparently it isn't, because they've brought McCutcheon out of the dugout and positioned him back at third base. So can you, as a pitcher, during your windup, raise your foot off the rubber and replant it?
We don't suggest trying that at home.
It'd be dangerous, yeah.
But, and this is going to continue.
He's going to have a second thought here. Now Hurdle, he'll be right up among the league leaders this year. Managers getting ejected. He's second to Bruce Bochy of the active managers. Bochy's been given the heave-ho 68 times and Hurdle 50 times in his career. This is not a reviewable or a place where a manager can challenge the call, so it can't go to the replay in New York. And it's not going to make Hurdle any happier. He's going to make his point and continue to make his point until he gets tossed or gets his way. Now going to have another. They're going to huddle again. Huddle for Hurdle. A new series here on Fox Sports San Diego. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have the second edition of Huddle with Hurdle. Or without Hurdle in this case. He can work on that gum, masticate with the best of them. Now they're going to have Andy Green come out and explain. Now maybe they're going to take a U-turn again as McCutcheon walks down from third, just in case he's going to touch home plate. Pete McCannon, the manager at Philadelphia, and Andy Green are the only managers, and of course that's because their tenure has just begun, that have not been thrown out of a major league game. Hurdle in a confident pose at the moment, as if he might have won the argument. He's gone.
Good for Andy Green. Get your money's worth. They call a balk and then they rescind it, and then now they call it a balk again.
There's the other side of the normally placid, calm, articulate Green. And Mark McGwire wants to make sure he doesn't get into any physical contact and lose his manager. So McGwire, the bench coach, will take over the team as Green is dismissed. Awful, you said. Love to see the fight. And we've heard that there is that element in his personality, and good for all of us to see it in action.
Third, and he's ahead of Wieters 0-2. Check swing and a breaking ball. He went too far. Wieters upset with the call at Bellino. Says he should have asked at third. And Buck's going to come out, and he has just been tossed. Matt Wieters has been ejected. Buck couldn't get there in time. Bellino's having a real tough night back there, and he just got Wieters on a check swing. And now he may get Buck, because Buck has been holding it in all night, Mike.
Yeah, well, Wieters has seen a lot of bad pitches behind the plate, so I think the frustration is more than just that strike three call, failure to look for a check swing, appeal to the third base umpire. This is frustration with the whole game. Strike zone's been inconsistent. Take a look here, ball down in the dirt. Pretty close. I think Wieters gave him a piece of his mind about the whole game in general.
So Buck talking it over with Bellino. Orioles strand 2. We're through 5 in a 2-1 game.
Of course, Samardzija, a longtime Cub, has to be a little odd for him. On the outside looking in, he was part of the whole rebuilding process and was never able to hang in there long enough to see the success that the Cubs are having now.
I think the best thing that happened to Jeff Samardzija was leaving Chicago, as he was the White Sox last season.
John Mattingly is coming out. And this discussion with Brian Gorman, I'm not sure. Christian Yelich is standing and listening. Oh, he got tossed. So that's why he's out. I did not see that. It counts 1-2. And so Mattingly has the lineup card, and he'll hand it off to Tim Wallach and take over. And so Yelich will climb back in and get ready for this 1-2 pitch from Samardzija. It's a fastball. It's fouled back. Here was the previous pitch.
See, that was a strike right there, the cutter. But I think it has to do with pitches before that and probably pitches that he thought maybe were strikes when Cozart was also pitching. And
Strike 3. Marvin Hudson rings up Ahmed. That was a ball, Nick is saying. You can read his lips. And Nick has been ejected. Here comes Chip Hale to get between Marvin Hudson and his shortstop. I don't think I've ever seen this from Nick Ahmed before.
Good grinding at bat there. Nick had a real good idea of what pitches were in the zone, what pitches were out of the zone. Oh, man.
Yikes.
That ball was never in the strike zone.
10th pitch of the at-bat, and Marvin Hudson rang him up.
Swinging away and swinging through that 92-mile-an-hour fastball, striking out to end the inning. Padres down in order, and Upton has some things to say to Sean Barber. Tossed, ejected. 5-5 score.
Half of 2013 when he was an all-star. Another called strike 3.
Not a strike.
And there have been a number of Rockies that have been upset tonight with Lance Barrett.
That's not even close on the Subaru strike zone.
And Walt just got run. You can't argue balls and strikes. Walt was walking away. He came out. Lance Barrett said something to the effect, you can't argue balls and strikes. Walt was walking away and he got run.
I understand Walt's frustration, but you're right. If he's walking away, the umpire should just walk away too. I know he can't argue balls and strikes, but just walk away.
The Rockies are an aggressive offensive team. You've had 4 backward Ks tonight, and that's off the plate away. You know, that it's not good for the game.
It used to be 125 was kind of the magic number. Once guys start to get
and
to that
another
mark.
backwards K. And now Ryan Rayburn hanging around. Second time he's been called out by Lance Barrett.
So turn around.
And he just got thrown out.
See,
that's ridiculous. He's walking away.
He's walking
and
away.
He's eyeballing him, trying to pick a fight.
And that's exactly what Tommy just said to Lance. He had his back to you.
He's not showing. If his back, he's walking away. If he's walking away, he's not showing you up. And Stu Cole wants to make sure Ryan doesn't get any further penalty. Dale Scott, the crew chiefs, moved in.
Now here comes Bob Davidson.
He has no business. I don't understand that. Why is a third? I mean, I understand Dale Scott.
Dale's a crew chief. He's trying to get the player out of there.
Why is Bob Davidson involved?
And he shouldn't be. I mean, this is between Lance and the crew chief. I'm surprised. Quite honestly, though, I'm surprised Tommy hasn't gotten run yet.
I can't recall the last time I've seen that many called strike threes.
Well, that are bad strike threes. I mean, this is...
That's low.
That's low and inside. You can see it on the Subaru strike zone. Overhead will give us an even better look at this.
Listen, they're human. I get it. And Lance Barrett's having a bad night with the strike zone.
Okay, so he's walking away. Nobody knows what's going on.
His back's turned.
Yeah.
Eaton 0 for 2. He walked in the 6th off of Marco Estrada. John Tumpane has just thrown John Gibbons out, I believe. And Gibbons hasn't been pleased with the strike zone all night long.
Well, what he's talking about is after that check swing, it looked like somebody was getting on the third base umpire. And Tumpane interjected himself into that conversation and then threw Gibby out. And that's what he's saying. He's saying, I was talking to the third base umpire. I wasn't talking to you.
Dan Isonia is the crew chief on this umpiring crew. He is trying to usher John Gibbons back to the dugout. Home plate umpire John Tumpane has had the hitters upset with the strike zone, but it's been equal in my mind. Both teams have had a liberal strike zone call tonight.
The lead for the Marlins and Justin Nicolino. Oh, man, Phelps wants to know. And he's been thrown out of the game.
Oh, wow.
Phelps has been thrown out of the game. Don Mattingly can't believe it.
All he said was, I'm just asking. That's all he said. That was a really big overreaction for an umpire right there.
He wasn't arguing. He was asking. And the whole Marlin infield right now can't believe it. This is enormous. Todd Tichenor has thrown David Phelps out of the game. And now Mattingly isn't leaving, and he's been tossed.
That's a bad call by an umpire, and I know it's not an easy job back there, but players should be able to ask you a question and without you getting all in your feelings and throwing a guy out of the game because you feel like, oh, he's showing you up. No, he can ask you if that ball's inside. He has that right to voice it.
All right, let's see where the pitch is on Fox Tracks. Very similar to the one that he missed on, and that one misses as well. And let's see Phelps' reaction. So we've determined that the ball is inside. It's the correct call from Tichenor. And here is Phelps. Was that in?
I'm just asking. Is that in? Is that in? That's what he's saying. I mean, then the verbiage got a little different after that, but you can't throw a guy out for asking if it's in. This is a high-pressure situation. You have to be able to have some emotion. The umpire has to have the calm and wherewithal about him to be able to calm the situation without ejecting somebody. That's way too quick of a hook right there.
All right, it stings even more because of the Marlins bullpen situation, with Barraclough working 3 consecutive, with Ramos working 3 consecutive. Here's again the look. The pitch is in. Ramos, or rather Phelps asking, I'm just asking. You could almost read his lips. And he was tossed from the game. And Mattingly was there quickly. He got tossed. So the Marlins have to pick through the wreckage of this.
Drew did not get the call on, thinking that he's going to get a strikeout. Look, in fact, I think it was against Russell Martin. Oh,
now he strikes him out. 3-2, and he turns. Rippinger.
Yeah, he better
started to step out in front of the plate. Smiley walked off the mound, and Cash doesn't like this, and I don't blame Cash.
I don't blame Cash, but you know what? The home plate umpires don't like those motions that you see either. And so Kevin Cash is out here taking the bullet for Drew Smiley. Drew Smiley's frustration obviously ticking off Mark Rippinger. And Kevin Cash, sensing that, wants to keep his starter in the game, so he runs out and takes it for him.
Well, the fans back of the Rays dugout like what Cash just did there. Joe West, Joe's another guy that, you know, you're not going to have a long conversation with Joe either. And there'd been some conversations earlier out of the dugout with Kevin Cash.
But I will tell you this. When Drew Smiley, see how that's when he looked back at Mark Rippinger. You start to do that. If there's too many, body movements out there on the mound that a home plate umpire doesn't like, you put yourself at risk.
Well, somebody grabbing your leg can definitely break the rhythm.
They're calling it safe. Everyone wants to know, wait a second. How can he be safe if you implemented the rule where if you grab the pivot band, he's out?
Well, they can't say, well, he couldn't have got him at first. That's out of the equation there. So Robin wants to know why. You'd certainly rather have Chris Davis leading off an inning rather than coming up with a man on first and 2 out in a 1-run ball game. I don't blame Robert. If that's what they say the rule is, you can't grab the guy, and he grabbed him, I mean, that's BS. I mean, that's all it is. It's pure out-and-out BS.
Well, that's pretty much what Robin was telling Jerry Davis before he got the heave-ho.
Evidently, they told him something in New York that only Jerry has to relay to Robin. That's all he could do.
Since then, since the trip that Neil Allen took to the mound. Look at that. What was that?
2-2. Barrios thought he had the inside corner.
John Ryan Murphy turning around to Jerry Lane.
Wow. Plenty of the strike zone.
He just got
and Murphy got tossed. And I will suspect the manager is going to be very right behind him. Now Murphy, in his defense, didn't take his mask off, and he, I'm sure, was quite audible. But the manager right now is going to have some words with Jerry Lane too.
Let's first of all look at the pitch. And Foxtrax had it as a strike on the inner part of the plate.
He did turn around.
He turned around, which is kind of a no-no, but aren't you allowed to question an umpire? My goodness, I mean, you can see Jerry Lane getting right back in his face and probably egged him into saying something. I call it baiting.
And now Kurt Suzuki will have to come into the ball game here.
These crews are supposed to look one way, but they change on a regular basis, and you can kind of figure out the seniority with the crew chief and then who will be known as the two-man. But they've got to work with a lot of different combinations, and when they do have that chance to get home. And Hud, you mentioned packing the bags and all that kind of stuff too. You go to a city that might have hot weather one day and cold weather another day. You're talking about putting a lot more into that trunk.
Just knock it off, all right? Go ahead, you're saying.
And now CB Buckner is
Hosmer
going to hear it.
Haas is giving. Oh, he ran him. He ran Haas. And Haas is a little bit frustrated with some of the calls of CB Buckner, and like I said earlier, these guys they're competing against Strasburg. They might see him in the World Series. You never know. So this is an important game for them, even though it's a blowout. And Hosmer didn't appreciate CB Buckner's getaway day calls. That's what it came over, and Haas chirped. Ooh, and he's not done either. Ooh.
Well, we don't know how long this was going on. I can't think it was going on too long because Hosmer was just at the plate. And at the same time, in a game like this, CB Buckner might be the only one in the ballpark that knows that Eric Hosmer was yelling at him. Now, if he was arguing with him at home plate and that carried on for too long, okay, that's one thing. But of the 30+ thousand that are here today, how many people do you think knew that Eric Hosmer was yelling at the home plate umpire, and maybe the umpire just needs to shut off that right ear?
Very small percentage.
Well, the frustration boiling over during the break. Ryan Presley first, and then Paul Molitor ejected by Scott Berry as Presley comes off the mound.
Well, he can't sustain his frustration and says something to Scott Berry. He throws him out. Paul's probably telling him, and I know what this is about. Paul's saying, well, the guy's out of the game, and you're going to have rabbit ears and yell, and that's frustrating. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the manager's appeal was. And why make an already miserable night worse?
Well, pretty significant thing happened during the break. Dexter Fowler was saying to Vic Carpazzo, last time I was up, you called it down. This time you're calling it up. Which is it going to be? And eventually he got ejected.
Yeah, and it looked like Dexter was heading back out to his position, and Carapazza engaged somebody in the Cubs dugout, and that brought Dexter back into the conversation and never got particularly heated. That's why it was surprising when ultimately Carapazza ran Dexter from this ball game. See, I'm really surprised.
And I think for Dexter it was more about, okay, so here's the first inning.
I don't think either one of them were egregious, but I'm just surprised he ran him.
Well, just as we were going to break, you could see that Chris Guccione tossed Girardi out, and then Girardi certainly got his money's worth. This is right as we were going to commercial, and Guccione throws him out, and it was obviously about what Girardi thought was a balk by Gausman. You can see he's talking about the pitcher and coming to a set. And this went on for the entire between innings period, so about two minutes, and Joe has been ejected from the game.
Well, he got his money's worth.
Trumbo with a ground ball to Torres. Nice play. And across the diamond, one away.
And the reason I say he got his money's worth, because as he was walking off the field going to the dugout, he turned around, came back out again. Yep, there's the Girardi being tossed out.
Now he walks away, and I don't know if he said something. Guccione said something because Joe wanted more. You don't see managers do this anymore because with replay, there's very little to argue about. You can't argue with the umpires in New York.
For Arizona, we'll wrap up the series here on Sunday at 1:35. The pitch is strike three called. AJ flips the bat away. He was on his way to first base. He can't believe it. And he and Corey Blazer have an extended conversation as Greinke earns his 7th strikeout. Off we go to the 5th inning.
And
AJ just thrown out.
It's 3-0, and the Braves have just lost AJ Pierzynski.
The 3-1 to Big Papi. In there for a strike, and now David is angry. Here comes John Farrell out to get David away. And I think he got to him just in the nick of time, David. Oh, now Farrell has been thrown out of the game. David Ortiz hopping Matt Hanley. Ramirez is over to move him away. The count 3-2 now. And John Farrell has been tossed out of the game.
Red Sox hitters have kept their cool all night on a lot of borderline pitches that have been called strikes. Take a look at this one. Wow. I don't know what happened there with McCann, too. I think McCann got crossed up.
In Pittsburgh. First time they ever put a tarpaulin on the field. Uh-oh.
And that
Bad
absolutely
blood.
was. Oh, that absolutely was.
Here comes Bill Miller in from first base, and the benches are clearing. Here we go. Park got one up and in.
Well, what Jose wants to do is drop the bat. That's the first thing. Because that's something that can get you suspended.
Darryl Boston over there with him. Abreu is not pleased. Frazier's in there. There's Greg Sparks, Scott Carroll on the outskirts.
A hitter absolutely knows when he's going to get hit. And although May looks away,
you see the reaction of the Sox dugout immediately, and now they're going to be separated. So Park got one up and in the top of this inning. He was hit by a pitch. Abreu gets plugged in the side. This is game 1 of a 3-game series.
it's also two teams that have 2 series each against one another, both home and away, remaining after this series. So we probably haven't seen the last of this.
The bullpens are being sent back to their respective areas.
And remember, you don't have to issue a warning if in the mind of the umpires. Now he's issuing a warning now, but if in the mind of an umpire he thinks that the pitcher has thrown at a hitter, he can eject him without any warnings being issued.
Reading Robin's lips, he said, "You heard him say it." So there was something said. And watch the reaction by May. That is not shock. And remember, Jose in all of this is not a heavy English speaker. So the discussion coming from the umpire, don't know exactly how it's working. And Robin Ventura has been thrown out of this ball game.
Well, I think Robin has a pretty good case to make, because if any of the umpires on the field don't believe that that was a purpose pitch by Trevor May, I would be surprised.
Robin Ventura is fighting for his guys right now. The central one being Jose Abreu, who got hit in the ribs the next half inning after Park got one up and in. You think there is a lot of evidence suggesting intent there?
I would think so, and of course you never can read into a pitcher's mind the intent, but for Nate Jones, in a 10-4 game, there would be no reason to buzz Park up and in like that. That one, I truly believe, got away. This one, however, didn't appear to get away. Again, you can't read intention. It's what it appeared to be.
The jersey, yeah. That is strike 3. Yeah, you're not going to like it if you're the hitter on that call, and yet you could see some of the ball possibly catches the bottom of the strike zone. Tough one. Strikeout number 10 for Mariners pitching. Vincent gives up the baseball to Scott Service. And somebody just got thrown out of the game. Here's A.J. Hinch coming out. And he is really giving it to Ben May. He is so hot right now. Two to 1 Seattle. Back tomorrow.
Let's take a look at the way the last inning ended, and it didn't end well for Melky Cabrera or the Sox. As Diaz rings him up, Melky thought it was outside. And apparently, he said the magic word.
Well, I don't blame Melky, and obviously, that magic word, you can't blame the umpire.
And Danny's going to be called down on a high slider at the top of the zone. 1 out. And somebody's been tossed.
They're holding Bryce back. You just don't usually see that. That's what we used to call having rabbit ears.
That's costly if this game goes on.
And he hit him.
And
he's going to toss him
for Ollendorf.
Both benches have been worn prior. That is the 6th hit batsman in the game. Brian Price will come out for a discussion, but Ross Ollendorf has been tossed out of this game.
And by rule, Brian Price will be gone too. You know, that's the first subsequent hit by pitch that we've seen tonight. What have we got? 7 of them in the ball game, 6 in the ball game tonight. That's the first one we've seen that was done with a fastball that really came in off the plate. And Brian Price has a point right here. Ollendorf's in a 1-run ball game. He doesn't have anything to prove to David Freese by pitching inside like this. But I think once the call has been made, the call has been made. Brian can argue until the sun comes up, and it's not going to make any difference at this point. Not even in that far inside. It certainly sounded loud.
That hurts.
Here comes Ray Searage.
And certainly not what Ray Searage wanted after the big top of the 4th inning. Taking the lead, a bit of a bad break. It could have been even more than 2 runs if Arrieta and the Cubs didn't get the break on Harrison's hard hit ground ball. But, just 3 batters later, they lose the lead.
We saw Jared Hughes limbering up. Rizzo's home run means he's reached base safely now in 26 straight games and has given his Cubs a 3-2 lead in this 4th inning. Somebody got tossed. Somebody just got ejected, I believe.
I'm guessing Ray Searage.
The 30-second clock was up. Bill Welke. This is the first time we've ever seen this. If that's why, if indeed he was ejected, first time I've ever seen that.
I can't imagine he's being ejected because of the 30-second clock as much as maybe arguing that 1-2 pitch we talked about with Chris Bryant. Yeah, he's not talking to Jeff Locke. He's talking to the home plate umpire, Brian Knight. Although he wasn't looking at Brian Knight, I'm certain that's what he was doing.
May Searage ejected. That's enough. That's enough. Brian Knight tosses the Pirates pitching coach. That is a rarity. Yep. The pitching coach get ejected.
Times out of 100.
And Walters goes down swinging on the curb, or did he get a piece? Let's see. Home plate umpire Carlos Torres apparently said he made contact, or that. Well, let's see.
Well, what Plawecki is saying is that he was running out of the box. Carlos Torres, one of our younger umpires. Walters had given up and was leaving the box because he knows he had missed the baseball. He should really check with the second base umpire, see if he saw anything.
Well, Jerry Davis is the crew chief. He's the second base umpire, and he's coming into the discussion now.
There was no. I don't think there was a foul tip there. That ball bounced almost in front of the plate.
This is not a challengeable call.
It's not a challengeable call, but you can ask the umpire if he, the crew chief, if he saw anything. Here's the breaking ball. Not even touched, not even close. And Terry, from the crowd reaction, must have been thrown out of this game.
Well, he should get thrown out of the game. That was a horrible call.
That's right. It might be the biggest call of the game.
I mean, on replay, it didn't look like Walters came within a foot of touching that ball.
I'm 200 feet away. I could tell he didn't touch that baseball. I mean, come on. It's a bad play. Bad call.
The rookie umpire throws out the veteran manager after the rookie umpire made a terrible call.
Here comes the 2-2 to Brock Holt. And that's in there for strike 3. And he's been thrown out of the ball game. Brock Holt is trying to indicate to Joe West he wasn't yelling at him. He was angry at himself, but West throws him right out of the ball game.
I don't know what Brock said, but it got him a very quick ejection, and I mean, that seems really quick to me from Joe West.
Allowed 6 home runs in those 11 starts.
Now there's an argument going on with Dale Scott and Tim Leeper, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure what happened, but Leeper may have been thrown out of this game.
Normally when you see first base coaches get thrown out, it has something to do with a move. I mean, he's hot. Leap is really hot right now with the crew chief, Dale Scott. He saw something that maybe Ramos maybe balked or quick pitch. He was really upset on the quick pitch the other night when Donaldson, the one that we were just talking about. Now he's going to carry on his conversation with the home plate umpire.
Dan Iasonia, the home plate umpire, and your point on Friday night was the Donaldson at bat. Martin Perez balked and he quick pitched, and Tim Leeper says all you got to do is interpret the rule book, and if you do that correctly, that would have been called a balk, and the umpires missed it. And so he saw the same type of thing with Donaldson again, and I'm sure that's what he's arguing. And you know what? Dan Iasonia gave him his due. He let him voice his displeasure with the call. But I can imagine, and this is just speculation, that Tim Leeper said something to the effect was, that's the second time you've missed it in this series.
Let's take one more look. That is Eric Owens, the assistant hitting coach, is going to take over. Watch Leeper in the top of your screen to your right there. Say, what is happening here? And in between that play, as the play was made in left field, he got right in Dale Scott's face.
Reacts to the swing, and that coach can tell him, hey, they're going.
Wow. That is a pitch that is coming for Aaron Sanchez. And
Dan Iasonia is keeping an eye on Sanchez, and Gibbons has given it to him, and now Iasonia has to be blocked off by Sanchez.
And Russell Martin getting in there. Somebody yelled something after that pitch was called a ball, and you knew it was just a matter of time before John Gibbons got the heave-ho.
Tim Leeper was ejected earlier, and Gibbons has been upset with the umpiring all day long. Dan Iasonia has ejected him from this game.
The argument that Gibby's putting up right here is you're calling that pitch a strike for me. And I don't care if you call it a strike, but let's be consistent. So when my guy throws the ball there, and it appeared that Aaron Sanchez did to Odor, he didn't get the call. And that's what's upsetting John Gibbons and the Blue Jays right now.
Dale Scott, the crew chief, threw out Tim Leeper after a Donaldson fly ball in the 3rd inning. And now Gibbons, who has been questioning the strike zone all afternoon, is finally ejected.
Aaron Sanchez has so much comeback on his fastball. And that was right there. And I think it was Aaron who yelled something. And the home plate umpire took his mask off and was staring at him. He's an excitable kid. He made a good pitch. He wants the call.
Beltre cuts off a tough hop, and the throw is wide down the line, and there we got a fight at second. Bautista picked on the wrong guy as Odor came right at him, and we got the benches emptying now. There's some pent-up emotion going on out of Globe Life Park.
Well, Bautista got the worst of that exchange.
The fans may have been waiting since last October, but it looks like the Rangers and Blue Jays were waiting since last October. There was some serious. You don't normally see that kind of fight in a major league game, but you did today.
Yeah, generally it's a lot of posturing. There was no posturing in that.
Nope, sure wasn't.
Tell you one thing, Rugnet didn't waste any time getting a few swings in on Bautista either. Bautista might be hurt.
He could be. Rugnet popped him real good.
Well, he picked the wrong guy to slide into second base hard on.
Jeff Bannister right in the middle of things.
Yeah, that's still a volatile situation.
Yeah, yes, it is. I think they're going to call a double play for Bautista sliding beyond the bag and interfering with Odor's ability to make a double play. That's Lance Barrett, the third base umpire, talking to Bautista. All of a sudden, this ballpark is filled with electricity. Bannister still jawing at John Gibbons.
I guarantee you John Gibbons doesn't want any part of Bannister either.
And now DeMar O'Hale getting an explanation. Here's the close-up.
That's the kind of slide they're trying to eliminate.
Yep. And I think Odor, you saw Odor dropping down. Rugnet said, nope.
Whoa! I think Bautista got all he could handle with that.
Odor's now 2 for 5 today.
Wow. That's some pretty solid contact right there.
Yep. And going on the field after you've been ejected from a ball game during the ball game, I got to think that's going to be a pretty hefty fine on whatever, on top of whatever he's going to be fined.
Or a suspension.
Gibbons and Bannister continuing to go at it pretty well. So that is all taken care of. Jeff Bannister, a show of emotion as he walked back to the Ranger dugout after the field was cleared. as you might have guessed, this was not over by any stretch of the imagination. The first pitch of the bottom of the 8th inning plunked Prince Fielder, and it caused the benches to empty, although not quite as seriously taking the field as it did before. But Jesse Chavez immediately was thrown out of the ballgame. DeMarlo Hale, the acting manager, was thrown out. This is the pitch we were talking about. Prince just smiling, said, "You're gone." That's since a warning had been given, that's an automatic ejection. No quibbling about that. And if DeMarlo Hale's gone, the Blue Jays are not only running out of players, they're running out of coaches and managers. And Jeff Bannister out there making sure that his ball club say, "Wait a minute now, we've had enough. Let's go ahead and make sure we win this ball game." That's what we're after now. Can't afford to get any of our guys thrown out. And Adrian, understandably not happy at all about that. Prince Fielder, probably the least bothered of anybody.
Yeah, he gets hit in the thighs.
Yeah.
Brushed it off, didn't even feel it. He didn't care.
And Prince gets a standing ovation as he walks off. He's being pitch run for by Drew Stubbs, and the crowd on their feet.
They just have not been able to hit him consistently.
Tulowitzki strikes out. Mike Winters calls him out, and once again Winters is probably going to hear it from the dugout.
And that'll take the mask off, and that will send John Gibbons. He's 2 for 2. Getting thrown out.
John Gibbons was ejected in the game in Arlington in the 3rd inning for arguing balls and strikes. Mike Winters is the crew chief for this umpiring crew. He's been around a long time, and Gibbons and Winters have been in disagreement over the strike zone all night long.
Yeah, it isn't just this inning. There's a couple of innings. It's been like this, and Gibby's had his ear in between innings.
In that game yesterday in Arlington, there were 8 total ejections in the ball game. Leeper and Gibbons were ejected in the 3rd inning in separate incidents. But you can see all the players are up there, and they appreciate their manager standing up for them.
Yeah, sticking up for them. You mentioned the 8 guys who were kicked out of yesterday's game. They're going to make a decision on that really quickly, aren't they?
Joe Torre has announced that he will announce the suspensions for the brawl yesterday in Arlington tomorrow. So that has come across the wire that the suspensions will be announced tomorrow. And so John Gibbons gets another ejection, and he wasn't pleased with the strike zone and voiced his displeasure.
And that's an automatic right there. Troy Tulowitzki thinks it's down, so does his manager, and when the face mask comes off, it's just a matter of time before that happens right there.
A little frustration starting to boil over here for the Tigers. Doug Eddings expanding the zone a little bit. Nick Castellanos for the 2nd pitch in a row. Thinks he gets jobbed a little bit. Brad Ausmus is tossed from the game. He's there he goes. He gets him. Brad's going to come out and give his piece. He doesn't believe he can see the plate. And you can tell Brad very animated right there. A lot of frustration. And takes his jersey off and nicely and neatly covers the plate. So no use of having the white part.
That is, without question, as animated as we have seen Brad Ausmus, let alone the whole jersey thing there. But he said his piece to Doug Eddings, who had ejected him on a couple of pitches that appeared to be inside.
1 hit and 1 run in 6 consecutive games. Comes out of a family full of excellent athletes. His uncle Terry Shumpert played for the Red Sox during a 14-year major league career, and his cousin George Wilson was a 9-year NFL safety. And now John Farrell upset.
About what?
He's been thrown out of the game.
What in the world is he upset about?
Well, he's upset at Bill Miller for the strike zone tonight.
But out of nowhere, what the strike to hold? Just
When? Where?
Strike to Mookie Betts, I think, triggered this.
Okay, hello.
So John Farrell has been run by the home plate ump Bill Miller.
Wow.
Second game in a row, a member of the Red Sox has been thrown out.
Strike one to Mookie Betts, and I'm out of here.
Ball in, it's got to be well off in, and Carlos set up well off the inside corner. Again, I'm still thinking I'm bouncing a pitch in the dirt, especially 0-2, or even a fastball down and away.
Hector's yelling at John Tumpane. That pitch was in off the plate, and he's just been tossed. Hector's just been ejected. Hector waved off Carlos is what it looked like. Tumpane kind of took exception to it. And so Santiago's been ejected here. The pitch in question wasn't a strike. It was in off the plate. Osocia will get his money's worth. Hector was yelling in after the 2-0 pitch to Wieters that missed in. Tumpane said something back to him. Carlos started to go out there, kind of got in between them, and as Carlos started to head back, Hector kind of waved him off, like go back to behind home plate. I think Tumpane thought it was meant toward him, and Santiago got ejected because of it. And so here we go to the bullpen.
Since that home run.
Broken bat, little dribbler to short, 2 up, 2 down. And now he'll deal with Edwin Encarnacion. What's going on now? Toby Basner and Donaldson are in some kind of discussion. Did he throw him out of the game? He threw him out. Toby Basner throws him out of the game for comments. Donaldson walking back after grounding out. He said, I was talking to somebody else, but evidently he said something, and Basner thought it was directed towards him.
5 innings. And it's on the outside corner, and Davis caught looking for the second time today. 5 strikeouts for Davies. And that is 50 strikeouts for David Wright in his first 120 at bat.
He's getting struck out, Gary, on a lot of pitches on the outside corner. That's borderline right there. Too close to take.
So 1 out and nobody on now. Michael Conforto and Adrian Johnson, the home plate umpire, appears to have thrown out Kevin Long, the Mets hitting coach. And Kevin's going to head toward the tunnel. So Long defending David Wright on a pitch that appeared to be a little outside, and he took the heat for him. And so it appears Kevin Long has been ejected.
One-two pitch. That's a called strike 3 on a pitch that was nowhere near the zone. Escobar is chapped, and he should be. That pitch was down, and the helmet toss will cost him some money. Dale Scott has been fairly consistent tonight, but that pitch was not a strike.
No, that's not even close to the strike zone. And you can see this. Look at the Fox tracks right here. How much that misses the strike zone. That's almost on the dirt. And in.
So 1 out, 1 on. And it's Cole Calhoun up. 1 for 3 with a single and a walk.
A terrific win for the Raptors to come back and get back into the series. 2 games to 1. And boy, they shot lights out last night.
Lights out, play great defense, and bury the Cavs. Phil Hughes, first pitch. This one 0 again. I don't know how he got out of the way of that one.
Think there's a little intent behind that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Donaldson homered his first time up. And that one's behind him. And Donaldson said, what's going on here?
Let's go.
You don't even have to warn him. You can throw him out of the ball game if you think it was intentional. And Donaldson walking away, he can't afford to be ejected for a second consecutive day. Then Hughes threw one right at his hip, and the next one's behind him. You can eject the pitcher without a warning being in place if you think it's intentional. And if that wasn't intentional, I've never seen one.
The last two, haven't you been paying attention? What's happened the last couple of days and after the home run by Donaldson? And now Gibby's going to explain that to the home plate umpire.
Well, and Joe West is the veteran. He's an old school guy. And Gibby will go back a long way. He knows what was up with that. Donaldson got ejected for hollering at the Twins bench yesterday. Then he hits a home run, stares into the bench today. Then he makes a couple of great plays. And now Gibby gets thrown out.
Gibby's just trying to protect his players. Yesterday they were laughing and having a good time, Joe West and John Gibbons, and now this time he's got his finger in his chest.
Joe West and John Gibbons, they had quite an exchange when Gibbons came back on Friday night at home plate, and now they're getting into it. But to his credit, Josh Donaldson did exactly what he had to do. He walked away from the umpire. He couldn't afford to get thrown out a second consecutive day.
No, and he's having a great game. We all know how it cost the Blue Jays yesterday, leaving his bat out of the lineup. Today he's made 3 great defensive plays and he's hit a home run. Now let's see what happens if Phil Hughes is going to try and continue this.
Donaldson goes after that pitch and lifts it high in the air. Mauer's got room in foul territory and makes the catch. Well, let's give you some background into this incident. And Bautista, he's very concerned for his teammate. Here's Donaldson yesterday. He grounds out and then jogs back to the dugout, and Donaldson got thrown out by Toby Basner, and you can see Donaldson saying, hey, I was yelling at them in the dugout. And then today, after the home run, he stares in the dugout, obviously with some intent.
Start.
They had the 2 off days, and he's the guy they figured most needed the rest. And the second Diamondback batter is hit. Warnings had already been issued by Larry Vanover, so Caminero was ejected. This is a constant factor when you're playing the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Boy, once again, right up around the face area, head area.
Second time tonight a Diamondback hitter has been hit in or near the head. Segura got one on the brim of the helmet in the 7th and had to leave the ball game, and now Nick Ahmed is down. Brian DePanfilo out there to have a look.
The unfortunate reality here is Chip Hale doesn't have any more bench players available. If Nick can't continue in this ball game, we're going to have a pitcher play a position here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Looks like he's trying to say he's okay and wants to stay in.
Chip Hale is giving him a fight. The Pirates will need a new pitcher. Caminero has been ejected. Warnings were issued by Larry Vanover after David Freese was hit in the bottom of the 7th, following the time Segura got hit in the top half of that inning. Here's a look. And again, it's not just that hitters are getting hit. It's up and in, up near the head and the face.
Oh. Strike 3. Now he's going to come back at Demuth. And he got tossed. He found 2 of those calls to be highly questionable. And Colby's out of this game now.
And I think Colby's got every reason to argue. I just worry about Danny Demuth
kind of leaning into Colby Rasmus a little bit, creating contact as Colby was getting his
grandstand. Wow. 0-2 pitch. Heisey can't believe it. It's a guy who hardly ever says anything to an umpire. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
Well, Rene Rivera is pulling these high pitches down, and DJ Rayburn's buying it. So he's called the low strike, he's called the high strike, and as a hitter, it's got to be one or the other, because you can't cover the low part of the zone and the high part of the zone. That'll frustrate you. It's like calling pitches off the plate on both sides too. DJ Rayburn saying enough. I hear you. Chris Heisey's still chirping down the dugout, and you can see why. Doesn't want to hear anymore. He just threw somebody out of the game.
Who got tossed? Rick Shue just tipped his cap and waved to the umpire, and the Nats hitting coach has been ejected.
Well, he might have wore it for a player, and that's what a good hitting coach does. If a player's chirping, he'll chirp louder so that the umpire sees he's the guy that's yelling, and maybe he wants Chris Heisey to stay in the game, so that's actually a good thing by Rick Shue.
Just before he had that injury, and you knew sooner or later this had a chance to happen. Alfredo Simon drills the pitcher who drilled him in the 4th inning, and Simon is immediately thrown out of the game by the home plate umpire, James Hoy. Players from the Brewers side coming out in front of their dugout. No one coming out of the Reds dugout.
Brian Price arguing right now that why is it that we get 3 Reds hit and 1 Brewer and he gets thrown out of the game. Now, there was no warning issued by the umpire in any one of the previous hit batters. But you don't have to have a warning in order to throw a pitcher out if the umpire feels like the pitcher intentionally hit the batter. That's all he needs to see, or he needs to read, in order to eject the pitcher.
It's a single by Johnny G to lead off the second. You're now 0 for 2 with 2 groundouts to Altuve. And Escobar's been tossed. Wow.
Let's talk about how quick that throw out of Syndergaard. That's pretty quick.
Upshow's taking over here.
Cut fastball inside part of the plate. I mean, a lot of times as a hitter you could ask where that location is. Pretty emphatic though by Escobar.
Looked like you said that ball's down. Come on, man.
But you can't question balls and strikes whether you're the manager or a hitter or pitcher. Although that was pretty quick.
Imagine it's Caleb Coward coming up now.
And now you lose one of your most productive hitters on the team, especially at top of the order.
Here comes Coward. He'll inherit the 1-2 count.